Hi, my name is Allison Werner, and my article was Europe has good and bad reasons for wanting more babies. Policies to reward fertility can disguise vote buying or worse. This article is written by The Economist and published on January 23rd of 2020. To summarize this article, a demographic slump in Europe has led to panic among its leaders. They are scrambling to come up with ways of boosting baby production. Women can expect to have an average of 1.6 babies each, or as few as 1.3 in some countries. That leaves Europe with too few children to maintain its population without including immigration. The term natalism is used throughout the article and is defined as when the state tries to increase its birth rate. So this map is actually a couple years old. It was created in 2016. It just sort of shows the different countries in Europe and their fertility rate. It's a little bit different now, but for the most part, it's relatively accurate still. I just thought it was interesting and I thought it was a good visual. The important actors presented in this article are primarily European countries struggling with their fertility rates. Some of the more prominent and specifically mentioned countries are Croatia, Germany, Hungary, France, Italy, Estonia, etc. And then this image is from an EU summit, so the European Union. It's just a generic picture. I'm not actually sure who's there. I just Googled it, and so this was just something I thought would symbolize it pretty well. I also thought it looked cool. The leaders of the countries mentioned on the previous slide attempt to encourage reproduction among their citizens by offering wildly generous schemes to new parents. For example, Estonia offers 18 months of paid parental leave, Poland dishes out 500 zloty, about 128.50 US dollars per month for each child after the first. A parent with 3 children would reap the equivalent of nearly half the minimum wage in this country. In Hungary, mothers of 4 are exempt from income tax for life. The government is also considering extending the benefit to mothers of 3. Baby subsidies may not produce many more babies, but they are an excellent way of buying votes. For center-right governments, they are an excuse to give handouts to the middle-class families who are not their traditional constituents. For center-left governments, they are an excuse to extend the welfare state. Politicians in Germany appear to be doing something right. According to this graph from 2019, Germany's fertility rate has been increasing, for the most part, since 2005, while Italy's has been gradually falling since 2010. I know that this chapter was actually supposed to be about Germany, so I wanted to make sure that I touched on that a little bit more. Again, this chart was actually published in The Economist in June of 2019, so it's from another article, but I just thought it would be another way to touch on Germany, since I know that, again, this was what the chapter was technically over, and I think these are supposed to associate with that specific chapter. But anyway, fear has played a large role in encouraging European citizens to reproduce. Demography is a canvas onto which politicians can paint their deepest worries. For those in Western Europe, the fear is economic. The article states, with productivity growth low, welfare states need to generate more young workers to fund themselves, lest they collapse like a population-based Ponzi scheme. For those in Eastern Europe, the fear is around identity. Some nationalists worry that low birth rates coupled with immigration of natives and immigration of newcomers will change the essential character of their nations. Viktor Orban states, we will effectively be consenting to a process in which the European population is replaced. Viktor Orban is the Hungarian premier. He stated this at a demography conference, echoing a xenophobic conspiracy theory. In this, Mr. Orban and those with similar opinions resemble the eugenicists of the early 20th century, who worried that superior races, meaning Europeans, were doomed. Although most politicians want what's best for their country, their intentions can also have a more sinister edge. A legitimate worry about depopulation is that it can be hijacked by those who want to roll back the rights of women, argues Neil Data of the European Parliamentary Forum for Sexual and Reproductive Rights. Activists for banning abortion were given a prominent slot at the demography conference hosted by Mr. Orban last year. Making it easier for women to return to the workforce does not fit into the idea of traditional family put forward by Mr. Orban and people of similar beliefs. On the surface, the EU is united when it comes to boosting births, but dark differences lurk beneath. The article concludes with, "Bureaucrats should watch whom they jump into bed with." So, some connections to the text are that Europe has some of the lowest fertility rates in the world. Germany's fertility rate is especially low. This chart right here is actually from page 179 in the textbook. And it shows obviously the fertility rates in countries ranging from a 1.4 in Japan and Germany to a 5.3 in Nigeria. And then the world average is about a 2.5. So Germany and some of the other European countries are obviously relatively low on this chart. Another connection to the text is xenophobia. So on page 178, it states, throughout Western Europe, xenophobia grows, and most countries have anti-immigrant parties that win 15% or more of the vote. So it just shows that even in the textbook, it's discussing xenophobia and the issues of it growing in Europe right now. So it's obviously a very relevant, hot topic at the moment. So I think the best way to conclude this presentation is to simply repeat that Europe has good and bad reasons for wanting more babies. Policies to reward fertility can disguise vote buying or worse. And again, while most politicians want what's best for their people, there are some that have negative intentions in regard to all of this. So anyway, thank you so much. Have a great day.